Hey everyone, welcome back to New JANG City, where I have some new stuff to show you at the other end of the table down there. So I will walk on down there. What I'm going to show you is my first ever car crash scene. I'm actually happy to have a car crash in my city because it's part of my relatively new commitment to adding interesting scenes to this entire layout and really putting a focus on the viewer experience, even if the viewer happens to be me much of the time. So this is the scene, and I will explain to you very quickly what happened kind of in universe. First of all, one little out of universe thing. You have to imagine that right here is a proper smooth rail crossing. I just haven't built one just yet, but in universe, there actually is one there. So traffic is able to go off the table, go on the table from off table. And that's exactly what happened here. Red car that you see at the crash scene was coming from off table, made a left right here to go down past the mall, and the driver was telling a story about some dumb thing that a coworker said at lunch the other day to his passenger. And he had his head turned 90 degrees all the way over looking at his passenger. I hate it when people do that in real life, instead of looking at the road. And thus, he didn't realize that there was this green vehicle up ahead in front of him. Now, the red vehicle was going a little bit beyond the speed limit, not too much, technically speeding, but it wasn't that bad. But the green vehicle was going exactly at the speed limit. So there was a differential there. And the worst thing was just that the driver of the red vehicle was not paying attention, was not looking at the road. By the time he noticed, it was too late, and he cranked the wheel over to the right to try to avoid the situation and slammed on the brakes, and it wasn't enough. So it was a little bit of a rear ending with an emphasis at one particular corner. Now, the funny thing is, the red vehicle, the one that's at fault, took a lot of damage. I mean, that front end is messed up. The engine, it's a front engine vehicle, is certainly messed up. The frame is bent all kinds of ways up front. It's going to be totaled by the insurance company. There's no way, it's going to be fixed up for any reasonable amount of money. But the green thing, which is just a basic, like rounded off box people mover, an electric vehicle, relatively modern in universe to this time, it only took a little bit of damage. I guess it was built really, really well back there. Now, it's definitely going to cost some money to repair that with fancy materials probably used there. But, it's just bumper stuff and one tail light. But it's definitely repairable. There is a policeman there who's taking a statement from the angry driver of the green vehicle. Very, very angry. And you got some people in the mall who are actually taking pictures and looking, just kind of rubbernecking at the scene, seeing what's going on. There's one very, very distressed looking dude right there. And then over here, so we had an ambulance that came out after the fire engine came out. The fire department was the first responder on the scene. And there's actually an EMT over here who's tending to one person who was involved in the incident as well. As far as the policeman knows at this time, this guy here was the driver because he was in the driver's seat. But as it turns out, in a twist, this guy was actually the driver. And they did a little switcheroo because he already had some points on his driving record for speeding and some other reckless stuff. So they did a little switcheroo before everything happened. I think that's going to come to light because there were enough people around who witnessed the whole thing. And you got some other folks who are just looking at the place over here. This policeman came out on the bike just to do some traffic control. So he's turning around vehicles right now that want to go down this road. The road will be reopened very soon, but just while the fire truck is getting loaded back up, with its people and possibly any equipment. I might add a little bit of equipment out on the road, just directing traffic away. Meanwhile, at the other end, there's no issue with that because the policeman who's taking the statement drove the car and just blocked off the road right here. And the tow truck has come. He's going to hopefully be able to take away the red vehicle. I think the green vehicle is going to be able to go away on its own power, although the driver may elect to get a car carrier to come in just to make sure that he doesn't get charged with creating more damage on his vehicle by continuing to drive it around. But I think he'll be all right. But that's the scene for now. And I did build the two vehicles, the red one and the green one, anew. The green one, I did that first. I really just wanted to make something kind of like this. I wanted to make a kind of rounded off looking people mover, just a basic electric transportation vehicle. Nothing too high tech, nothing too high performance or anything, just something that would move people. I'm assuming it would be like either a 5 or 6 passenger thing. It has a lot of hollow space in the interior. I didn't really worry about checking these for seating or setting up the seating properly because they're just made for this scene. Eventually, if I want to use this green one for something else in the future, get it repaired in universe, I have the option of setting up at least one proper seat inside of it. And it may be possible to add more, but I just didn't really care about that because honestly, most of the time for most things, especially around a big old Lego City layout, you're just going to see it from the outside. And the interior doesn't matter that much, just like with buildings. Most of the time, you're not going to be seeing them. You're just going to see stuff from the outside. So since this was made for an accident scene, I didn't worry about that at all. And then the red vehicle, the car was made second, and the focus for it was getting it to look wrecked. So it actually has a hinge. It actually has a couple of hinges. It has just a single axis hinge for the front, basically for the front subframe, to be able to tuck that up so the entire thing sits with some forward rake. And I also wanted to be able to angle it over. So with the one tire partially off the rim, I'm able to get a little bit of angle on this thing because it has a ball joint for the rear axle. So that's able to angle over completely. So the whole thing has some forward rake, and it's also angled off to the side. And then it has some pieces that fell off, and it's all crumpled up and messed up. And I think it looks pretty appropriate for the scene. Also, it has a deployed airbag, which is made with an old, I don't remember which theme that came from. I want to say Belleville. Big old flower piece in white. And then I just put a dish or disc on one side of it. And I think it looks pretty appropriate. It looks kind of fluffy. It is in universe an older vehicle, but not that old. It still had a working airbag and everything, so safe enough. And I don't know what happened to the other guy. I don't know why the passenger who's being accused of being the driver got banged up. I don't know what he was doing, or maybe he didn't have his seatbelt on all the way, and he hit the glove compartment kind of area, the console just a little bit. But he'll be fine. It wasn't too bad. Looks like there wasn't a passenger airbag deployment. That's probably part of the problem. But yeah, just added in this scene because there wasn't that much going on over here. Also, it's a little bit dark. I'm using a little bit of a light next to the camera here to light up this area. I might actually bring some additional light around this corner. It's not really that important for this entire layout to have a whole lot of extra light here because there's still enough, out here and along, because ultimately the lights are up pretty close out to here and also closer to me. But yeah, I just wanted to put something down here to make it a little bit more interesting, and I look forward to adding more interesting scenes of other things going on in the future. Hey, let me go ahead and show you a few other things, just little things that I added since the last time you were here. Really, really, really simple things. Just minifigures. I'm going to start at this end. I really should not start at that end. I should start at this end. Yeah, over here. Okay, yeah, I'll start with the weirdest one, the most interesting one. This guy here, he's just barking off orders at the construction people, like they're doing everything wrong and he knows how to do their jobs better than they do. He doesn't. He's never done construction himself. I don't know what his deal is, but yeah, he's mad, and he's pretty much mad at everything all the time. So he's there. Here's somebody just walking down the street. Most of the people that I added in are just walking around, just to populate the place a little bit. I'm going to try to add a lot more people to this layout in the coming month or two, just to add to the liveliness of things. I think I added just 10 new figures today or since you last saw, and I think they added a lot to this small area here. This guy has his poodle, and he fancies himself very fancy. He has a Ferrari shirt or something on, or is it a jacket? Can't quite tell right now. I think it's a jacket. He does not own a Ferrari, but he's all into name brands and everything, so it's important to him to show off the name brand. Sorry, I'm not getting the focus quite right here, but she was just added right there. Yeah, just a person again. Just a person walking around. Who else did I add? Is there anybody else on this block that I added? Oh, that guy over there, right there in the center of the screen. He's pretty normal. I mean, he's just a regular dude just walking around. And this one is interesting to look at. Again, sorry about the focus here. I'm trying some different stuff with equipment and should have done a different setting, but you get the idea. I imagine that in universe, she is like a female version of the Fonz from Happy Days. Just walks onto a scene and just expects to own it. Just thinks of herself as kind of the center of attention and just kind of all that wherever she goes. And then the last person I added is just another relatively plain normal person right there, the lady in the purple top. And that is that. So I just wanted to show you some new stuff that's been added, or yeah, it is new, properly new. Since you last came in, I still need to do some more work on the plaza. Be doing that pretty soon, I hope. And also more work on the Planetary Defense Force base, and who knows what else, whatever I feel like. Thanks for watching. Talk to you again soon.